What's up, fam? It's June 5th, one day closer to June 6th or Friday or whichever way you want to look at that. You know what I'm saying? Um, Looking at the astrology, I guess today would be a good day to talk about groundedness, right? And we all know that we're human and we slip up, right? If you don't believe me, check my last story that I told yesterday about being all up in my head and trying to fight the opposition, basically. Because I don't necessarily use any other words except for opposition or challenges. Even though I might use the word adversity every once in a while. But anyway, groundedness is a three-phase thing or a three-dimensional thing or maybe even a four-dimensional thing, which depending on your ability to see what that is, because you're part of I guess Spirit was telling me in the kitchen, it's like you're plugged into a global electric circuit. You know what I'm saying? And our awareness of that connection to the global electric circuit for this example, because it's also a universal experience, as above, so below. It's how do we maintain that? How do we stay in the present moment? How do we not allow energies like this and this event, given all the things we've been talking about this week, how do we maintain a more stable, balanced approach to the sensitivities that we are becoming aware of in one way or another, right? Just kind of like being enlightened or becoming more self-aware to the point that, hey, you have these gifts for a reason, and kind of this is way of God showing it to you as long as you embrace it, right? So going back to the metaphor of being plugged into a global electric circuit, you understand that you are affected by this circuit, by this atmosphere, whichever way you want to look at it. You're in a glass bowl in a sense, where everything's bouncing off on each other, and then there's little portals and shit that allow energies to come and go, right? Alleviation points is what Spirit is saying. So you have those as well. Some of them will say holes in your aura, an unbalanced, unwell machine, unwell oiled machine is what Spirit is saying here behind me. Not realizing that the energy body is really important. Our awareness of the very thing that we are, which is energy, is kind of like critical, because that's how diseases and things build up inside of our bodies and create generational ailments like heart attacks, heart issues, heart disease, basically getting tied up and getting all bottled up has a tendency of building emotions, and it manifests physical. Some of them will manifest with overeating. Some of them will manifest with cessations or, I need, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like an ungrounded, unbalanced being that is unaware of what is actually happening in this electric circuit. We're all participating in one way or another. We're responding to these frequencies because you might as well just consider yourself a giant antenna for all these things, right? And I come from that perspective to give you a general idea how grand it is, to bring it down into a more physical level where you realize that the very feet where you're planted, right? Even right now, right? Let's say you're feeling a certain type of way, right? I doubt it, because these videos have usually a tendency of helping people with understanding and calming themselves down. And that's one of the benefits of sound, frequency, and vibration. It's also part of what I do as a healer. I heal through sound. I heal through voice. I heal through tone. I address issues in the mind. I silence the mind. I quiet the mind. I settle the mind with my voice. And that's kind of like my craft, my mastery, my artistry that I bring to the table as one of God's given gifts that I'm aware of, to help other people understand not only why I do the things I do, but what's actually happening when I do the things that I love to do, and how the divine works through me in your favor and mine, because I'm also the observer of some of the things that they are saying. And I'm also learning and being taught. I'm learning and teaching simultaneously, so I'm explaining my experience of how this works for me, so I could share it with all you beautiful people and get a better understanding of how and why these things happen the way they do, right? So when we get back to the present moment and we get back to the groundedness and we realize that we're here and we're here in this moment, we are plugged in to everything around us, but we are our own aura. We are our own energetic field. We are the observer of all things possible, which is around us, right? Because it's happening. And the more you focus on whatever it is that you focus on, the more you become present with whatever it is that you're focusing on. So you entrain to an atmosphere, right? You entrain to a surrounding, a household, whichever way you want to say that, right? And that's part of the distraction. We don't know that that's naturally happening. It's in when we're in the present moment and when we're in our awareness that we realize that the energy has changed around us based on our surroundings, the people's places and things, right? So that's kind of like body awareness, not only utilizing the observer standpoint, you being the spirit being that you are, have the ability to kind of like put yourself in the observer state and realize that you're actually focusing more on the present moment and your awareness of everything around you, allowing you to be more clear and less distortive of everything that is happening around you, which is what is happening right now. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have gone through it. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of like getting over it right now, the collective agitation that we've been talking about this week, and kind of like being rough for a lot of people, but we're learning a lot of valuable lessons, Chiron, wounded healer, things that might come up inside of us, dude. Everything else could be perfectly fine. And then this thing is just something that we can't get over. We can't get, we can't get past, we can't get through, not realizing that these type of things come up naturally, kind of like the opposition. It's you're in divine favor in this moment. You're ready for a release, you're ready for an outbreak, you're ready for a revelation to revel in, is what spirit is saying here, and this is all part of that ability to be present and not allow yourself to be distracted or get excited about what's happening in the outside world, not necessarily questioning yourself too much, but just being quiet and still, and understanding that in this time right now, especially in moments of an agitation like this, or your intuitive awareness has increased, or you just woke up, dude, you're pinging like a light bulb right now. You're feeling everything and probably thinking everything, you know, for those of you newly awakened souls. So this is very handy of understanding that, look, you are a part of all that is. And in order for you to understand that, you have to allow it to go within. You know what I'm saying? And the only way to do that is to kind of like cut this off at the top, and just be the observer of whatever this is, because it's not really you. And this is that learning, teaching process that we go through, especially in the mentorship space, but the groundedness is really important, because the more you are present, the less you are worried about the future or thinking about the past, right? So it's a balance and a well-being that is happening simultaneously. And it's also an aspect of self-love and self-appreciation, you know and I'm not trying to bore you guys with these things, but I believe that these things are important because it's the erraticness of life and our ability to become distracted so rapidly that we forget about ourselves, because we've been conditioned to do that, you know and that puts things into perspective. I can almost hear it. Ooh, Jose, yeah, I struck a note, because the reality of it is that we are in places and spaces, and we have come from places and spaces that take up the majority of our time, because we are distracted, because we feel that this is more important than the awareness of ourselves, not realizing that we can take that awareness and go wherever we want to go, that we can be calm and still. We do not allow ourselves to be overstimulated or overexcited about traffic, or the asshole next door to you, or you know what I'm saying, things that bother you, shit that bothers you, you know what I'm saying. It's those little nuances and those little annoyances that become grand over time. you know it might build up in a day, or maybe even 3 days, but then there's that release, there's that I gotta let it out, there's that I gotta go. I gotta cessate myself somehow, not realizing, hey, oh shit, I'm not in the present moment. And I believe that's what's happening right now, because spirit pointed it out. That's what's happening right now with a lot of people. They don't realize how important they are, and that's from them. When you show yourself love and appreciation and understand that you're learning what love and appreciation actually is from the divine, not necessarily engaging in the human perspective or the human reality or the human surrealness of what spirit is telling you here, you realize that it's like, oh, so this is how I'm I was supposed to be treated. This is how I am. This is beyond the illusion. This is the real. This is the authentic. This is the truth, right? And it's so nice and so kind that we question, right? Because we're conditioned to. What's the catch, bro? You know what I'm saying? I know I'm talking to people out there, you know, not realizing that that is also a lack of awareness of the present moment because we're distracted thinking about whether I should trust this shit or not. You know what I'm saying? Dude, there's many hangups. And I laugh about them now that I've experienced them and been able to see through them and see things for what they are, you know, and not allowing myself to get caught up in a misunderstanding. And like I said before in the last video as well, I myself even have my moments and I do this every day. This is my life. I am committed to it. I'm endowed to it. You know what I'm saying? I'm also blessed by it. You know, so I'm not saying that everybody has this isn't a career choice for everybody, right? You know, I'm not here to promote that. I'm here to promote the fact that you need to be you, but the best way to you be you is to know you who for what you are and who you are, right? So I figured the best way that I could help people was to show them who they are and let them find out and enjoy the experience or go through the trials and tribulations with a lot more courage and confidence, knowing that they are finding their way and that there is an end result that is very freeing and liberating, you know, to every little process that we do, because nothing's ever done in vain, bro. Every little fucking thing, every little small thing becomes a big thing at some point. Anger, frustration, or love, compassion, and happiness. You choose. But I tell you what, one of them feels like shit and the other one doesn't, you know? And it's almost like we realize that we go back to that yes, no, zeros and ones and how we make choices in the present moment because now we're grounded. Now we're observing. Now our crown is being activated because that is the energy that is present right now with the planetary construct that we got going on. It's asking you to open up to the divine. It's asking you to open up to the universe. It's asking you to open up to the higher power and not from a place of deception, from a place of openness, not from a place of defensiveness, you know, but from a place of curiosity where you realize that you are being given something on a daily basis by something that you cannot see or possibly explain, but it loves you deeply. And it's something that resonates with you consistently. And you realize that it's like, you know, and it reminds me of a video, you know, that it's like, dude, once you get your first dose of God, or once you get your first dose of the divine, you will seek it unconditionally because it's you. It's the real you. It might bait you at first. Don't get it twisted, bro, because it feels so good. But the clarity and the state of observance that you have along the way will allow you to see these things for what they are eventually, you know, because these are the things that we learn. These are the things that we pick up on when we go on this journey, right? So the best way that I could help you get there, because we're all souls evolving, is to share these experiences or this perception or this perspective and whatever the divine feels is necessary to say, for I am divine as well, you know? So I am also a student of whatever it is that comes through me to share with everyone out there, with all, is what they want me to say. You know, so it comes from a very deeply compassionate space, but don't think that, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to put your fucking armor on every day. And this is part of that. This is that groundedness. This is that body awareness. This is of you being aware where you're at in the physical moment be, uh, before everything else. You know what I'm saying? You are putting you first. This is another way of saying that, you know, because it allows you to see the spaciousness and the in between of what's happening to the things around you versus what's actually happening to you. And this is also part of that discernment space. So you see how everything comes together and it's all interconnected. And this is what we love to do. This is what I love to do. I love to teach people about these things because divine orchestration is amazing. How it all works, dude, how it all comes together. I'm fascinated by it, you know, and they just keep feeding me more and showing me more because that is what drives this universe. It's you. Learn how to drive, learn how to dance with it, right? Because it's you're not just you're not distorting your physical aspect. Okay. I'm not telling people that you just need to float away, even though it feels floaty. It's like, no, this is grace, divine grace. And you get to walk and act and speak and know in grace, in faith, in gratitude, in love, in blessing. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we cannot have one without the other, but we can be what we want to be without having to think that our shield and sword is everything that we need. No, you're here to experience this reality as well. And Spirit wants me to say it, y'all, a lot of y'all are bad motherfuckers and y'all don't even know it because you've been here before. And this is history repeating itself once again, you know? Marinate on that for a minute because there's many stories that tell you that this day was to come, right? Because it's also the story of you. So it kind of makes sense that this was going to happen eventually. For some of you, it just happened yesterday or today or maybe the next day or thereafter, whichever way you want to play that game, you know, or understand it. You realize that, okay, cool. Well, how does this feel now? In closing, right now, just tune into yourself for a minute. Tell me how relaxed you are. Tell me how whole and full you feel. Tell me how grounded and in the present moment that you have the ability to grasp in a short amount of time. And that's all it takes. It starts with an intention, but it has to come from here because you love you first. And when you speak with love, it's profound, you know, because a lot of us have learned how it's been used against us. And now we're actually fighting for our own sovereignty because our words are our bond and our value in some way or another, because it's the divine energy behind it that we carry, that we speak into existence, that creates and manifests in this world. You know, you love you for a reason and you know you better than anyone else. And that's that divine connection inside of you that tells you those things. And then you realize that for those of you who have been misguided, that and seeing the error of your ways, in whatever moment that you hear this message, you realize, oh shit, all I got to do is stage right. And boom, you're in the next moment where you're actually doing shit about the things that you've learned. And that's what it is to be in the present moment and enact divine blessings upon your life, or divine action, or divine guidance. If you guys are truly seeking, and that's what you really want, if you're trying to get to God, if you're trying to know yourself more, if you're trying to bring more stability to your life, if you're trying to overcome fears, traumas, this is the way. One of the many ways that we have access to this beautiful energy that created us, right? Because it's also a divine intelligence, which helps us navigate anything that we want, any way that we want, spirit guides, animals, ancestors. You know what I'm saying? It's very giving opportunity that we all have the ability to embrace in this moment. Feel that. Feel that. Because the second that this movie's over and you start absorbing the outside world, you might even lose the awareness that we had this conversation or you saw this today. And that's how fast it moves. And for those of you who really pay attention, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. Or you haven't noticed it yet. And this is going to be a surprise like no other. And that's how easy it is to switch a timeline, to shift, to be distracted. That's how easy it is. If you can, it's faster than a blink of an eye that you walk another path uncontrollably, not knowing, because you have lost yourself from the present. But it's always easy to bring yourself back. So don't be discouraged. Just about face. Once you become aware, it's like, no, this isn't for me. hold on, I'm going this way. And then it's like that. So just as fast as you can get distracted, it's just as fast as you can get back on the plane. You know what I'm saying? It's flying right now. They showed me a bunch of people freaking out. Um, it's interesting how these metaphors come up in our lives, and that's kind of like how spirit talks. That's kind of how they communicate through wisdom, they communicate through intellect, knowledge, teachings, and fear, believe it or not, just to get you to awaken. When you realize how the divine works, when you get to this level, it's like you really understand that demons is basically a metaphor for the shit beyond our control. I'm pausing for a reason. It's like take the time to reflect on that very fact that nothing here is going to take you out of this world unless you let it. Thank you. So these basically what you just experienced, if you're still paying attention, okay, is you experience divine communication, blessing, abundance, awareness, teaching. You know what I'm saying? This is a physical example of what happens to us when we walk this path. And how that's orchestrating in everybody's life is different. Don't get me wrong, bro. You're not going to be the Zen master overnight. Okay. None of us are. But when we can bring more peace to ourselves, we can have more clarity. Right. So focus on that, especially in these next upcoming weeks, if not days. Make it a daily practice to maintain awareness of where you are, of your presence, of how you feel to you, how you feel about you. Don't make it about you. It already is about you, and God will tell you along the way as you experience life. And that's how we learn how to trust and walk in the path. You know, that doesn't go without saying that sometimes it's a little confusing, but it's always there. And that's what you have to trust. You just have to learn how to put yourself in front of it, or easy way to find it. I know I was going to say something earlier and I can't remember what I was going to say about direction, but you know where to find it because it's in you. And I'll put you exactly where you need to be. It's a promise. I promise you, is what I heard. you know? So enjoy this transmission, um, and enjoy the peace and the oneness that you can embrace in a moment, because some of them can be bittersweet, you know, but we can focus on the goodness of what we are receiving right now, focus on the fruits of paying attention to something more than just your daily orchestration of life. You are the sacred temple in your atmosphere. Create a good atmosphere for yourself. You know, for a lot of divine feminine out there, ladies, the majesty of the home bless you on all your endeavors. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a firm believer in the theory of the mother came before the son, and the universe is a womb. So what does that tell you? And that's my perspective. I believe we are living in the great mother, and each and every one of us are her sons or daughters. So that's a very sacred place for me that I am still becoming comfortable with because of the things that I have the ability to see. You know, not everybody's like me. So, everybody's unique. But I can tell you from my experiences and my awareness that it's a very loving place, and there's nothing to really be afraid of except for seeing the fear within yourself as you evolve. Salah, they're full of heartfelt moments today, man. I'm not going to lie. I guess it helps you open up that heart chakra, and be more compassionate and less defensive with yourself. See the amount of resistance that you face every day, and just be more proud of that awareness, because that's what sets you free from all of the narrative or the negative. They said, thank you. So, I just want to make sure that they don't have anything else to say, but they kind of pop in and out every once in a while. So, I just want to make sure uh, that the message gets across in a way that it's something that resonates, something that we can actually ponder, something that we can actually connect with. This place lacks depth. You know what I'm saying? You don't realize what shallow is till you see it in others, because you couldn't see it in yourself. You know, Salah. Because that was me too. I didn't realize how spiritually shallow I was till I moved here. Till I jumped into. I can't. I. It was just my training path to come here. You know what I'm saying? And it was it was beautiful. So blessed. And you can be too, man. Don't get it wrong. Just because it doesn't mean you can't find your own way. What we promote here is that we can help you if you want. You know, we're just one phone call away, or a text or an email. If that's what you're really looking for in life, though, because you got to be committed in one way or another. It's not about the dollar amount. This is my wife talking. It's not about the dollar amount. And this is also related to the video that we talked about. It's about your worth and how worthy you are of yourself. You know, I think we've established the fact that you can come to the table with what you got, and we'll work with you. You know what I'm saying? But don't establish your worth by a dollar amount, because that's a distraction. That's where we go all wrong. That can be a construct that does nothing but keep you exactly where the fuck you want to be, not realizing that you can pull yourself out. Salah, thank you. That's even a lesson for me, you know, because I get confirmations all the time. I get one from my wife and I'm like, thank you. And then I get a deeper level of that understanding that I also give myself the ability to receive, and that's what we're talking about here. That's part of that physical aspect of awareness, to raise the awareness of the importance of your importance in paying attention to the divine, which is what you are. These are world ending, changing times, man. And you need to get where you need to be. I think that was it's like a cosmic joke. But, it's kind of like understanding that the best way to get to the promised land is to go within, you know, and how to navigate your physical life on an everyday basis from within. And that's what we teach. So I hope you enjoyed this message today. Spirit definitely has. And they love you, by the way. It loves you. They love you, because there are many, but they are few. Also, at the same time, all one. It's a collective consciousness. Remember that. There are many versions of the things we talk about, but they all come together because they all come from the same place. So there's no labeling or categorization, in a sense, unless you resonate with a higher power of that existence, is what they wanted me to add. Then you realize that it's like, okay, yeah, it is all to the one. There are many paths to the one. There are many paths to the creator. There are many paths to the source. And we're all walking them right now, but it's more of I believe this is a time, and this is what my wife said as well, and it deeply resonates with me, is it's a time for unification within oneself, because that's where a lot of the shit that we don't like goes away, that we don't favor, is what Spirit is saying. And it shows you the profundity of choice. it can also be a gift, right? When you make the right ones from true intention, true passion, true awareness. Salah. So just a lot of food for thought today. Something to chew on and enjoy in one way or another. Reflect. If you journal, do it. If this triggers something within you that you feel like you need to overcome or you can't get around to, reach out to us. But also at the same time, just remember that you have everything that you need in this moment to be yourself. And you always have, folded maps in hand. All right. And it's not only just about the astrology, it's about your present awareness of where you're at in all of this, in all the stars or the universe or your atmosphere or your person, place, or thing that you might be dealing with. So much love to each and every one of you. Y'all have a beautiful and blessed day. We'll see you later. Take care, fam. Peace.